Oh my God, I'm shot in the stomach and the shoulder. Help, please!
The aggravating circumstances in this case are appalling.
In Brooksville, Florida, a chilling narrative reached its judicial conclusion as Circuit Judge Daniel B. Merritt Sr. sentenced John Kalish to death, marking the first Hernando County convict to be sent to death row since 1994. On January 14, 2010, John Kalish launched a deadly assault on his sister's home, driven by deep-seated animosity and a resolve to erase his sister's bloodline. Armed and determined, Kalish killed Kitty Donovan and Deborah Tillotson and wounded 2 others, including his own niece. His rampage continued north on US 19, where he fatally shot Captain Chad Reed during a confrontation at a gas station. After a trial that captivated and horrified the public, Kalish faced justice for his heinous acts.
John William Kalish, you've not only forfeited your right to live among us, but under the laws of the state of Florida, you have forfeited your right to live at all.
The evidence presented, including Kalish's own admission and the meticulous planning of the murders, led to his conviction on 2 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. The jury recommended, and Judge Merritt imposed, the death penalty, a decision underscored by Kalish's lack of remorse and the calculated nature of his crimes. The impact of Kalish's actions, described by prosecutors as a cold, calculated, premeditated killing, had left deep scars on the family and friends of the victims.
Before, it was really tough, not knowing what was going to happen. But now that there's closure, I think they can get on with their lives.
The defiance Kalish displayed, even in the face of his sentencing, served only to affirm the monstrous nature of his crimes. John Kalish's sentence adds him to the list of inmates on Florida's death row, initiating an appeals process that could extend for years. Now Kalish currently serves his sentence at the Florida State Prison.
That's count 1 for the first-degree premeditated murder of David Curtis. The court imposes a sentence of death. As to count 2 for the first-degree premeditated murder of Jeffrey Kokab, the court imposes a sentence of death.
In a significant development in Tampa, Florida, Dante Morris has been sentenced to death for the 2010 murders of Tampa police officers Jeffrey Kokab and David Curtis. This sentence comes after the jury's unanimous recommendation for the death penalty, concluding a series of legal delays that had postponed the sentencing. Morris's conviction stemmed from the murders of officers Kokab and Curtis during a traffic stop in 2010, an act that profoundly impacted the Tampa community and law enforcement.
Jeff and Dave, they died as heroes. They died protecting those who can't protect themselves.
Despite being convicted 6 months prior, Morris's sentencing faced delays due to legal maneuvers and an investigation involving a former police detective's conduct. The sentencing by Judge Fuente marks the culmination of a lengthy legal process, with the Tampa Police Department acknowledging the jury's decisive vote for the death penalty.
This sentence was about justice, it wasn't about revenge.
This decision brings a measure of justice to the officers' families and the community, signifying the end of Morris's ability to cause further harm. The police department and the officers' widows, Kelly Curtis and Sarah Kokab Redman, expressed relief and a desire for the officers to be remembered as heroes who died protecting their community.
This has been an extremely long, hard, and trying 4 years. Our faith, our family, and our friends has helped to get us through this process.
Dante Morris is set to automatically appeal the death sentence, a standard procedure in capital punishment cases. As the legal process moves forward, the community and the families affected continue to seek solace and honor the memory of the fallen officers, hoping for lasting peace and justice.
Mr. Moy, as to count 2, for the clear sentences you to life in prison, that is a mandatory liquid sentence. As to count 3, the court hereby sentences you to 5 years in prison. As to count 4, the court hereby sentences you to life in prison, with the first 10 years being a mandatory minimum.
In a solemn moment of justice and closure for the Orlando community, Markeith Lloyd was sentenced to death for the murder of Orlando Police Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. This sentencing, delivered by Ninth Circuit Judge Leticia Marquez, comes after a jury's recommendation and over 5 years following the tragic event. The case against Markeith Lloyd captured widespread attention due to the heinous nature of his crimes, including the murder of his ex-girlfriend Saud Dixon and her unborn child in December 2016, followed by the killing of Clayton in January 2017 as she attempted to apprehend him. Lloyd's arrest came after a manhunt, highlighting his dangerous propensity for violence and disregard for human life. Lloyd's sentencing marks the culmination of a legal process seeking justice for the victims and their families. Despite being convicted and avoiding the death penalty for the murder of Saud Dixon, Lloyd faced the ultimate punishment for his subsequent actions against Lieutenant Clayton. His reaction in court, lashing out verbally after the sentence was announced, underscored the tumultuous emotions surrounding the case.
Thank you very much.
Lieutenant Clayton, remembered for her significant contributions to local youth through mentoring programs, leaves behind a legacy of service and sacrifice. Markeith Lloyd, on the other hand, spends the rest of his life at the Florida Department of Corrections.
It appalled me when I found out how fast I was driving that vehicle. It was not a choice I would have consciously made. I knew the size of my vehicle. I knew it was heavy. I was careful with it.
Nothing is more difficult than a DUI involving death. 4 children have lost their mothers. That's what I'm looking at.
In a York County courtroom, a tragic case concluded with the sentencing of Cassie Cunningham, a 36-year-old woman from Rock Hill, for causing a fatal accident while driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. This incident, which occurred in February on SC 161, one of Rock Hill's busiest highways, resulted in the death of 22-year-old Kristen Knight, a mother of 2 and someone Cunningham had once cared for in her parents' childcare center. Cunningham was found to have been driving at a shocking speed of 107 miles per hour moments before crashing into Knight's car at an intersection. The collision was so severe that it caused Knight's vehicle to be propelled across the median and into oncoming traffic, leading to Knight's death from multiple injuries. Investigations revealed Cunningham's significant intoxication levels, more than 3 times the legal limit, alongside evidence of marijuana use. During her sentencing, Cunningham faced the consequences of her actions, receiving a 23-year prison sentence and a $15,000 fine for felony DUI.
Indictment number 14 GS 46 1878. The sentence of the court is 23 years, $15,000.
In the aftermath of the case, Cunningham was given the max sentence and currently serves out her time at South Carolina Department of Corrections.
The state, knowing nothing about me, would have you believe that before you is a vicious man who went hunting for human lives.
The shell casings are right there in front of the bed, and they line right up with those 2 holes underneath the bed.
Suffice it to say that a precious child is dead. This murder was heinous, atrocious, and cruel.
In Tampa, Florida, a courtroom was the setting for the conclusion of a harrowing case that shook the community to its core. Tyrone Johnson, found guilty of the double murder of his girlfriend, Stephanie Willis, and her 10-year-old son, Ricky, faced sentencing for his crimes. The tragic events unfolded in 2018 when an argument over what to watch on TV escalated into violence. Johnson, claiming to feel attacked by Stephanie, resorted to shooting her. Ricky, attempting to run into the master bedroom during the altercation, became an unintended victim of Johnson's gunfire. Prosecutors challenged Johnson's version of events, suggesting that he sought out Ricky, who was trying to hide, with bullet casings found under the boy's bed offering a silent testament to the chilling reality. During his sentencing, Johnson pleaded for mercy, expressing remorse for his actions and the pain he caused.
I am truly remorseful and deeply sorry.
Despite his tearful apology, the gravity of his crimes and the evidence presented led to a recommendation of the death penalty by the jury. Judge Christopher Sabella, emphasizing the heinous, atrocious, and cruel nature of the murder of a child, sentenced Johnson to death.
For those acts, I sentence you to death.
Now, faced with life in prison or death, Johnson currently resides at the Florida State Prison.
Thanks for watching. We hope that you found this information both informative and engaging. If you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you never miss a new video.